Welcome back to this renovation of an electric transport moped. This is part 4. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2 and 3, I suggest you go and watch those, then this will make a lot more sense. If you've already seen those, then let the show begin. Finally time for some reassembly. So I believe I can now get the entire rear assembly back together, and I can get it back in the moped, and then I can move it around, because right now it doesn't have wheels on the front or the back. Nice new bearings. Just looking in from the inside to see that it's seated, and it appears to have gone down all the way. The next thing we need is this. This is what goes between the inner races of the two bearings, and the axle here runs through it. This is quite mangled. I don't really know what's happened to it. Yeah. The axle goes to the middle, and the inner race of the bearing sits here, and the inner race of the other bearing sits here. So why it would look like that, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be any good as a template. It's kind of the right length, but not really. I don't trust that. So we go from the inner race here. And then down to the little ridge that the outer race of the bearing sits on. Something like that. Well, hopefully exactly like that, not something like that. And then that's the length we want. So what is it? It's 97 millimeters. That's a random length. But it's dark in here. Not in here, down there. Okay, I think that's going to work for us. This axle needs to go through the middle, and it doesn't really want to. There's a bit of a, I don't know what it is. I wonder if that's bent. That would be a shame. It's kind of straight. It's about a ½ millimetre out somewhere, but this has to go through here, preferably with minimal violence. There's a bit of a seam in here. I'll try getting rid of that. This thing is a bolt with the head cut off and a slot cut in it, and that means that I can stick a little bit of emery cloth in there. And stick that in a drill. See which way we want to be turning. We want to be turning not that way. Not that way either. Turn the paper over. Complicated this. There we go. Something like that. Stick that down in there. Stick. As I was saying, stick that down in there. What's it catching on? I think it's catching on the seam. This is one of these pipes where it's rolled and welded, and the seam's on the inside. No, the weld's on the inside. It's not much, but I think it's enough to stop the axle going through. I wonder if it'll go through from the other way. The other side. Oh, the other end of the axle. Clear? Yeah. You know what I mean. I bet it would if I could get that nut off. Alright, I'm going to work at that for a bit. Ha! I couldn't get this off. Ow, I could have got it off, but with the risk of destroying the axle. Hit it with the wire wheel. This, I'll have to paint it. I don't have new nuts. I couldn't get any. So, I'll paint it instead. That'll do. Right, don't forget that bit. That would not be good. Got one chance at this, because this bearing is not coming out in one piece. The purpose of this sits against the inner race on each side, and this allows you to tighten the bolt or tighten the nuts on each end of the axle. If this wasn't here, the bearings would just be, yeah, they'd be pushed apart. That's why that's so important. Alright, let's see. that's good. Uh-huh. It did come out again. Oh well, that's good. It won't come out when everything's all bolted together. I didn't think it would do that. But it did. Good. What do we want now? This thing. I did clean this up a little bit, it's slightly rusty. This is a consumable part, so one day I'll change it. And I think the best plan is to get the bolts started first. If I hit it now and the bolts don't line up with the holes, I can't do anything about it. If I start the bolts and then bash it into place, I think that's the way to go. So here are the bolts. That's the bit of broken bolt. That does not look happy. The threads are all stretched. I'm going to see if I can find, how many do we need? 5. 5 hardened bolts in that dimension. I might have 5. And dig through these and see what we've got. Slim pickings in the hardened bolt department. These are too long, well they're the right size, but they're too long and they're shoulder bolts. So the shoulder's going to run into the threads. I did find this, which is a direct replacement for the one that's broken. It's not quite as long, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. So to get us back on track, I think I'm just going to put these back in, and alright, yeah, that's the firing range, about 20 miles away. They're developing new and exciting ways of blowing people up, so that's nice. Anyway, yeah, to keep everything moving forwards, I'm going to put these back in. This will be changed at some point because it's a consumable item, so when I do that I'll get new bolts. I'm really on the fence over whether I want to put anti-seize or maybe Loctite on these. I don't want them coming loose, and I want to be able to get them out again. So, why have I got 2 new ones? I've got 2 new ones now. Alright, well, that's not a bad thing. We'll put 2 new ones in. Why not? That doesn't seem happy. There we go. Probably a bit of paint in the threads. Maybe just run these down and seat it. Yeah, that seems to be the best strategy. What's that? Grass? grass. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Seems to line up nicely. Alright, what's next? So on this side we've got a spacer, and I basically forgot to paint that. I think we just clean it. Doesn't show. Yeah, it really needs to be cleaned. Let's do that. I'm pretty sure the easiest way to get this back together is going to be when the rest of the assembly is in the machine. So I'm just going to loosely put everything back together so I know where all the parts are and I've got everything ready. Which side did that spacer go? Yeah, that side. It didn't originally have washers under the nuts. I'm in favour of washers. I think it's a good thing. It's good to have. So I want to try and get washers on there. That if I can catch enough threads, because the washers also take up a little bit of space. So that's that, and then the brake assembly in there. Washer that way around, and cleaned up the other nut. I don't think, no. I've got a selection of acorn nuts, but they're all way too small. So paint those. That'll be fine. So when I change this rear drive sprocket, I'll get new bolts for the drive socket, as in new nuts. And that'll all be good. Good. Next part. That way. I've cleaned up all the components and tried to familiarise myself with how they're supposed to go back together. It was about a week ago I took this apart. So let's see what we get. Let's see. We need a socket to drive that in with. Too small. Just right. Let's see then, this axle is large, it has a larger diameter in the middle. So I can't put both the bearings in and then slide the axle in, with it won't fit. So this will have to go in from the bottom. There's no contact surface here, I just, don't want it to rust, basically. That's my idea there. Come on, grease. There we go. Should make assembly a little bit easier there. Okay. How are we going to persuade that in there? Hammer, I guess. Okay, we pushed the bearing out. New plan. This is learning by doing. New plan is to get the bearing on the axle first and then drop the axle in this way and then see how much of a fight the other one puts up. But I need a way of driving that in. That's going to be interesting. This bench is too bouncy. I'm going to take this outside to... I've got a steel bench sitting outside. And it doesn't bounce. I think that's going to be the best way of getting that on there. Success! It's in. I found this. This is an old spark plug socket. I think this is original Saab equipment. And the wheel brace went through here and you could get the spark plugs out. That fit perfectly over the axle and down on the inner race. And the outer race, I just took a punch and very, very carefully knocked the outer race in, and there wasn't a lot of resistance to that, so that went well. This little spacer collar that goes on next, I think, if I remember rightly. Yeah. Wonder if I'm going to have to take this all apart again later, because I got it wrong. I need to support the other end of the axle with something that's not a hammer, otherwise I'm going to knock the whole thing through. That'll do. See if we can use this again. Okay, and then what do we want now? This thing. And the axle here is keyed. So we've got a couple of keys. We've got a big one and a small one. We want the big one here. Clean that up. That in there. What does the inside of this look like? May as well clean that as well. Bit of grease. I'm just using white spirit and an old toothbrush to clean this stuff up. White spirit is the best degreaser that I have. I'm sure there are better degreasers, but we're going with what we got. I've got the other end of the axle supported, so I shouldn't be damaging any bearings by just hitting this. And then we had a a circlip on there. That's what stops the pulley backing off the axle. Nice. And then the motor. No washers here either. I wonder why. At the same time we finagle the motor in there, we want to get the belt in as well. This looks absolutely fine. Hello. Oh, what are you doing? The cat wants some attention. Yeah, There's a... Oh, the cat's stuck. Yeah. There's a part number on here, so while we've got it apart, let's write the part number down for when it breaks. And it's a 648M. Strong belt, made in Germany. Doesn't appear to be a direction on it. So we've got to get that on there. Hey. That on there, that in there. I don't remember this being a part of the original construction, but apparently it is now. Yeah. Let's try and do something about that. There's quite a lot of paint here now, so get rid of some of that so that the bolts go through. Two new, what are these, the M8 18 maybe? 16. Two new ones just because, and here there's a lot of paint. These two are countersunk and there is quite a bit of paint in there as well. And now there isn't. Good. And those go through. Right, wrestling time. And I think I also want to think about where the wires are going out. They're going out on this side now. Coming out here, so I think that's good. Nope. Try again. I thought that went a bit easy. There we go. And just because we can go with a little bit of Loctite on these. this new type of Loctite container, it is not an improvement over the old one. The end gets all clogged up, despite the fact that it closes and then the cap goes on. It's hopeless. So if you know how to avoid that, let me know, because I don't know. Corona. Right. Click. 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 Good. It's getting heavy now. So here is where this thing sat before, and it's kind of why I took this apart, because I saw this and I thought, well, this can't be right. It turns out it is right. Yeah, if it works, it can't be stupid, right? I'm very happy I did take it apart, because then I discovered two very bad bearings in here, and it just made everything a lot easier to paint. So the case of doing it properly. So that worked out well. I've got another one of these somewhere. I thought I had the right clamp here. I didn't look very carefully, but that is a lot bigger than what I need, so I had to go all the way into town to get this one, because this is what's holding us up. Well, till I work out what's holding us up next. So let's get that on. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is going to take all day. Let's do this instead. we'll get the last bit by hand so we know how tight it is. That should be good. Right, solved that problem. What next? Bushings or this cog here? Let's look at this. This is the drive cog from this side, and which way round that wants to go? Ah, right, but we've got to get a bearing in there first. Yeah, I see. Right, we've got to get a bearing in there. With a paint got in. That's probably not the best thing to get it out with. Different knife, use the back of it. Okay, bearing is somewhere. There it is. This is a really good tool. It's not what it's intended to do, but it's just the right size. And now things get a little bit more problematic, because now I need to hit the inside and the outside at the same time. Yeah, good luck with that. I guess we're just going to alternate between the inside and the outside. Which is not really right, but I don't know what else to do. There are special tools to get these in, and I don't have them. Yep, we'll say that's good. That's good. What do we want now? We want the key. Where are you? Found the key. It was where it was supposed to be, in the tray of parts. It doesn't. Yeah, maybe. Something's happened in the end there. Seems like we've got a little bit of a dink in there. That is not a file, that's someone's ground the abrasive off it. Let's try this one. No, maybe? Why do I get the feeling that's too long? This I think is going to interfere with the channel where the snap spring is supposed to sit. Let's see if we can get on the circlip. Let's see if we can get the circlip on. Nope. Oh. I've got bearings all the way in. It is. Well, you know what that means. The key that's supposed to be in here is in the other end. See if I've got another one that will fit. Solved the problem. This axle wasn't all the way in. So now it is. So I didn't get it wrong. I could have got it wrong, but I didn't get it wrong. So that's good. That means that I don't have to take all of this apart again. I found this, which I'd forgotten about. This needs to go in here. So there's a little channel here that circlip should drop into. Like so, and we need, what do we need? Not that, this, maybe. They're a bit sticky. Did that drop in all the way? I don't think it did. Alright, I'm going to take some time and clean that groove out. Then it should just drop in. Now it's in there. And this fits there much better. It doesn't get in the way of that, doesn't get away in the groove for the top circlip. So we got it right. Had a moment of doubt there though. And that that must go that way around. It can't go the other way around, because otherwise the cogs get in the way of this plate. Are you in there? I think so. I don't know. I'm going to clean that groove out as well. I think that needs to go down a little bit more. Now let's try that. Don't know. It's not really snapping into place like I'd like it to. It hasn't snapped into place. Alright, more cleaning. Right, these are next. These are the bushings or the suspension, I don't know, it's more like vibration damper from the front, and they're a bit bent because the whole front subframe is bent. So I'm going to put them on the back because there's just a lot less movement on the back, and I want to put the ones that are on the back on the front to make everything easier to line up. So this, you see here, this is kicked off to the side. So I want them lined up. I don't want them like that, I want them like that. If that makes any sense. Maybe. So it's not easy to see how they are, so I think yeah. So that's the side. Mark that. So that's going to go out, outwards. Is that a word? Outward? Yeah, maybe it's a word. And same thing there. So they'll go like that, and like that. That'll give us a better chance of keeping the alignment. What do we want to do? I'm going to knock a little bit of the rust off here, carefully. And I think we'll go with a little bit of grease to stop the rusting again. I need to clean the threads up as well, because they don't look very happy. And there were no washers under these. I'm going to put washers under. I wanted to put locking nuts on, but I don't have any. I thought I had a lot. Now I've got 3, so that's not going to get us very far. For some reason I thought these were M12, they're not, they're M10. So, yeah. Just make the best of that one. Bit of Loctite maybe. That might be quite smart. That'll do nicely. That's tight. Not tight, it's tight on space. Take that in. It's to be like, yeah, something like that. Something like that, but not twisted. There. Okay, do the other side. The rear mudguard attaches here and here and here. These are drilled and tapped for M6 bolts, and I think at least 1 or 2 of them are stripped out, and the other one's not good. So just going to go up a size to M8. going to drill and tap those there. Amen. Mosquito. This is a tensioner. The chain on this is a double chain, and this is a tensioner. It's not very advanced. Try and get that over. The design of this thing is not very advanced. It's basically all it is a bearing bashed into the middle of this cog, and a bearing bashed, or pressed hopefully, into the middle of that cog. And it just all sort of sits like that with a bolt through it. There wasn't even a washer on the back side of it, so I don't, yeah. I guess simple solutions are good solutions. This wasn't what I was expecting when I took it apart, let's just put it that way. So we've got to press this bearing in and get it in the middle. So we want an equal amount sticking out on each side. And the same with this one. And then, yeah, check it against the chain and see if it lines up. I guess that's the best way of doing it. More. Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, maybe. Let's do the other one. Tiny bit more. Too much. No? Let's try that. So these just sit together like that with a bolt through them. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't even a shoulder bolt. So that seems a bit wrong. Let's see if we can find a shoulder bolt. So I think that bolt is better than the old one. We've got the washer on the end, and that's, yeah, that's could do with it being a little bit bigger really, but it isn't. And then a bit of the shoulder still showing there, so if we put another washer, space it out a little bit like so, where do we end up? Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, we don't even need to do that. We can put that back like it was and put this washer here. There wasn't one there originally, but you know, I think there should be one, if you ask me. Let's see how that lines up with the chain anyway. Yeah, I'm calling that. That's good. And then this other bit of, well, this is the tensioner. I forgot to paint that, so I'm going to clean that up. I think we can find a new bolt, because that is, yeah, that's how it is. Okay, clean that up, paint it, we're on our way. This really is primitive. It's nothing more than just a piece of big, fat, flat bar with holes drilled in it. So the cogs sit here. One of these screw holes is used to hold it into the frame, and there's a tensioning screw that just pushes up here. Yeah, basic stuff. The time has come to try to get this lump into this big dark hole here. It's heavy. Let's see how we get on. I was going to say, I'm just going to lift it up and stick it in there. Yeah. This could end badly. I don't really want to stick my hands in here, but and then it should just be a case of getting these suspension bushings to mount up. I do believe I put these on the wrong way round. It doesn't make any difference, but if we align them like that, I think that's going to be so much easier to bolt everything up. That bolt, the bolts that I had, there were no washers up here, and it was starting to crush all of the, started to crush this profile down, this bar down, so that's no good. So I went with a little bit of a longer bolt with a washer on it, but I need to be able to get the spanner out, so when they're tightened all the way up I need more space than that really. What can we do about that? After a lot of trial and error, I managed to find a combination of bolts and two washers up here, a nut without a washer on the bottom because there's no way to get one there, and that should work for us. That doesn't go through. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. I can't get the spanner through. I wonder why. I put washers here that weren't there before, but that shouldn't make any difference because the bolt wood from the bushing still sticks up as far as it did before. Maybe I can, yeah, different spanner maybe. I ground the spanner down. It's a 17mm, I've got at least 3 of them, and that's not a problem. I don't mind doing that. Oh, and now the Japanese are screwing with me. The Japanese, for some reason, some of their M12 bolts are 17mm and some of them are 16mm, and nobody really knows why. This one is a 16, so I'm going to get rid of that and put a 17 on because I don't want to grind down another spanner. That seems unnecessary. There we have it. So yeah, that was a lot of work, but everything in here now cleaned up, painted, repaired, replaced all of the bolts holding the motor together, replaced the strap holding the motor in. What have we done more? 4 new bearings, cleaned, painted, refurbished, whatever you want to say. It's a big improvement. I'm glad I took this out, not least because it really wouldn't have been possible to paint it like this in place. So that was well worth it. I tied the wiring up here so that it doesn't risk getting caught in a chain, because that would be a bad day. I'm going to put the back wheel back on, and that means that I can move it around. So I'm looking forward to that, being able to move it. I'm not going to put the chain on just yet because I forgot to paint the chain tensioner, so that's getting painted. It's drying right now, so it'll get another coat soon.